On today's recipe video, I'm making my easy vegan shredded chicken enchilada bake, a whole food plant-based recipe that I hope you can stick around and see exactly how it's made. Welcome back to the kitchen. Plant-based Gabriel here, thanking you for joining me for another delicious whole food plant-based and vegan recipe. Today we're going to be making my vegan shredded chicken enchilada bake. Now we're just going to need a few simple ingredients, and that is we've got rice, we've got black beans, red beans, corn, tortilla shells, and then some spices. But we're going to have to go through a few different things because we are going to be using a canned jackfruit for this. So I've went ahead and drained and rinsed the jackfruit. And now to shred it, you can do a lot of different things, but me personally, I like to use, now I have done, say, a fork and mashed it down in the past, but my favorite way of doing it is with a food processor and using the dough hook attachment. So these are just the plastic blades that don't have knives, they're not sharp, and I find that that shreds the jackfruit really, really well. So for me, the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and shred the jackfruit. So I'm going to go ahead, add that in, and we are going to just let that blend for around 15 to 30 seconds, and you'll see once it starts to shred apart, it'll be ready to use. So our jackfruit took about 20 seconds to blend up or mix up and get to a more so pulled consistency. So I'll show you here, we've got a great pulled consistency or a shredded consistency with really none of the work. So I really like the food processor for that. If you don't have those dough hooks, you can always use the normal blades and just you're going to pulse that for a few times and get to shred up there nicely for you. So we've got that ready. I'm going to set this to the side. And next we are going to get our sauce made. Now, this is just a variation of my easy enchilada sauce, but it's really, really simple. So I have 3 cups of water, and to blend this you can use any blender, high speed, low speed, it really doesn't matter. We're not going to be blitzing anything up, we're just going to be doing a lot of mixing. So for this I have 3 cups of water, I have a 6-ounce can of tomato paste, we have 2 tablespoons of chili powder, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 2 teaspoons of onion powder, and then a teaspoon of cumin. Now I'm going to get my tomato paste in here. All right. So we've got all of our ingredients in our blender bottle here. Any blender will work. So I'm going to close this off. And we're just going to let this blend for 15 to 30 seconds. Doesn't have to be a crazy amount of time. So I let that blend for around 20 seconds. Open this up here so we can all see just a good enchilada sauce consistency. Let me set this to the side. And then next, I'm going to go ahead and grab a bowl and mixing spoon. Let me grab my bowl and my mixing spoon here. Now we are going to go ahead, I'll move this up a bit, and mix up most of our ingredients. So I've got my 3 cups of cooked brown rice, I have 1 cup of a cooked black bean. Now I'm using my Easy Instant Pot black beans. Any black bean will work. You can always use canned. Excuse you, the dog just sneezed. We've got 1 cup of a red kidney bean. Any red bean will work. If you don't have red beans, you can just use another cup of black beans. We have 1 cup of corn. Now I'm using a frozen corn. Fresh sweet corn will work, but I find that frozen sweet corn is available all year round, so it's a nice thing to have in the kitchen. And then we have our jackfruit, which I am going to go ahead and put in here. You can see a really nice shredded consistency. And so I'm going to give it a good little mix. First off, just to make sure everything gets put together. And then next, I'm going to add in about half of my enchilada sauce. Maybe a little bit more, a half to a little bit more. And just get it all mixed. Now what you're going to find is that as this cooks, it's going to thicken up a good amount. We're not going to have a super thin sauce, which is what we want. I am going to just make sure this gets all mixed. This just helps get the flavors through everything. And then we have our baking dish. Now, if you want to make half this recipe, if you want to just make a square amount or use a square baking dish, you always can. I find that this amount is perfect for my longer rectangular, not sure how long it is, but it's a Pyrex baking dish. So then we have our corn tortillas. Now I have 12 corn tortillas, 6 to put on the base and 6 to put on the top, and I'm going to do that right now. Just make sure that they're spread out there evenly. Awesome. I'll just give them a little bit more. All right. Next, we've got our mixture here. I'm just going to pour it in. And then with my spoon, I can go ahead and mix it all up. So we're going to spread it out. Just make sure it gets evenly throughout the dish. That looks great. And then next, I'm going to go ahead and add on my 6 remaining corn tortilla shells. Now these are oil-free corn tortilla shells. You can find them at some international grocers. Really anywhere that you would normally find a tortilla shell will have these. And then lastly, we are going to add in our remaining enchilada sauce, and I am just going to put that over the base. I want to get those tortilla shells coated so that they break down. That looks really, really good. And then you can just leave that like it is, or you can go in and just make sure the sauce is spread throughout the base or the top of our dish. Now I have the oven preheated to 425 degrees, and this dish is going to go in there and bake for around 35 to 40 minutes. So at about 35 minutes, you can open it up, see how it looks, and if it looks like the top has been nice and baked over, then it should be nice and baked. So 35 to 40 minutes, I've got the oven preheated already. So I'm gonna get this in, and I will see you guys in a few short minutes, and we're gonna go ahead and give this a try and see how it turns out. Our timer just went off. I'm gonna go ahead and check it out and see how it looks. Oven's hot. That smells absolutely fantastic. I'm just gonna set that right there. Turn that oven off. It looks delicious. I've got a spatula, which I normally use to just cut it up, and then we're gonna go ahead and get a piece. Let me grab a plate. I've got my plate, I've got my spatula, and then I've got a fork. Now you can cut this up, divvy it up however you'd like. This will serve around up to 8 people. I've brought it to parties, and 8 people getting seconds is gonna fill them up pretty well. So we will just take a little slice there. Look at that. Comes out perfectly. Now, I've got to mention that this is one of my dad's favorites. Back when I was helping him out when he was dealing with his health issues, trying to save his leg, and we got him on a whole food plant-based diet. He lost 75 pounds and was able to keep the leg. This was one of the staples that we had for dinner when I was cooking for him. So this is a recipe that is near and dear to my heart. Let's go ahead and we'll give it a try. That is phenomenal. You get the shredded jackfruit gives the consistency that a chicken would. So we get that in there. We've got the corn and the beans that add a great heartiness to it, and the corn is sweet, so you get the nice little bite of juicy sweet corn in there. The tortilla on the top and bottom kind of sops up a little bit of that extra enchilada sauce, so that's great. On the top, it crisps up a little bit, so we've got a little bit of another texture there. And the rice pulls it all together. The spices, really simple spices. Now, we will normally put a hot sauce on this. We'll add some salsa. We'll do a lot of different things. And so you can always add those sauces on. If you do not want to, and you want to add, maybe you're bringing this over to someone, you can always add in a little salt to it if you'd like. We don't add salt to it just because we're going to add the sauces or the salsa on top of it. But a great dish, an easy to make dish, one that I bring to parties all the time. I'll be bringing this exact recipe to a birthday party of a dear friend very, very soon. So it's vetted, it's used a lot, and I just had a couple of people ask me what I recommend to bring to get-togethers, maybe introducing a whole food plant-based diet, and this is the go-to that I normally recommend. So a phenomenal dish, one that I really hope you guys go ahead and give a try. If you liked today's recipe video, make sure you hit the like button and the share button. It really helps if you go ahead and share these videos so that others can see how to make an easy whole food plant-based vegan dishes to live a more healthful life. And as always, this recipe I've put up on my YouTube page. It's on Facebook. It'll be on Instagram and Twitter. You can find me at all those places. And you can always find this recipe, all my past and future recipes, at plantbasedgabriel.com, where all my recipes are. And I am Plant-Based Gabriel here with my vegan shredded chicken enchilada bake. Thanking you guys so very much for watching, and I will hopefully see you in another recipe video very, very soon. Let me go in for seconds.